Happy holiday week, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the Sportsbook, born in Vegas. The chat is already buzzing. Brad Betts says, happy holidays to all of us. Happy holidays to you too. It's happy short week, as somebody put in the chat. Let's take a look at how we did on the recap screen before we bring in the stars of the show. A lot of green, a lot of red. This equates to 8-8. I'll tell you, the under on last night's game really turned this around. We had three people, including myself, on the under of 49. Saquon Barkley breaking that last run. That was really the difference. So we were 8-8. We got to do better than that. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do it with the stars of the show on this Monday. We've got Tom Casale for some college basketball. We've got Mike McClure. We've got Larry Hartstein. And Larry, I want to start with you. I mentioned that it's holiday week, right? I think one of the most wildly overrated holiday food items is cranberry sauce. And I say that because I want your reaction to NFL Sunday. I think maybe one of the most wildly overrated teams might be my Washington Commanders. What an unsettling loss. Your reaction to NFL Sunday?
My first reaction is you're nuts on the cranberry sauce, because there's nothing I love more than that, the turkey with the cranberry. So totally off on that. But yeah, something is seriously wrong with your Commanders offense to lose that game. The Cavante Turpin thing is something I've watched 10 times, and I will keep watching it. That was an incredible joystick type of move. But yeah, they don't look like legit contenders anymore. I think the Eagles and Lions look like they're on a collision course for the NFC top seed. Just a question of where is that game going to be, that title game. But the thing that jumped out at me the most from NFL weekend is the Circa Survivor with 8 million or 14 million at stake. I forget I think it's 14 million at stake. Somebody did not put in their pick. There were only 95 people left. Your pick was worth 150,000 going into yesterday. Somebody neglected to put in their pick. To me, that's worse than the 33 people who got knocked out with your Washington Commanders and have to be sick about that. But how can you be too busy not to put in that pick?
Yeah, to me, that screams like somebody should check on that person. Like, I don't know if I like it. You got to think.
Right. Are they okay? Right.
Some trouble is afoot on that one. All right, Mike McClure, your reaction to NFL Sunday.
Look, I think that Washington definitely fortunate to have that win over Chicago. That could be the difference in them making the playoffs and not, based off where everything's trending there. The Lions continue to dominate. Kansas City continues to just find ways to win football games that maybe they shouldn't. And really Miami, I know they got to play at home, which is a big benefit to them, but we've talked about it across a number of these shows. Just a team that's not properly rated. They're so much different with Tua in that offense. So I like Miami still a lot going forward.
Yeah, Miami Green Bay Thanksgiving night is going to be a huge game for Miami. I still feel like they got to win that one. Tom, I know you follow the NFL, but I do want your reaction to perhaps what stands out from college football Saturday before we get into some official picks.
Yeah, sure. So, I remember before the season, I was on your show and I mentioned that one of the things that stuck out to me with these new power conferences were the schedules. You're not going to see many of the schedules Michigan played last year or Alabama's been playing over the years. And you see this in the SEC, right? They're all beating up on each other. Now there's a bunch of them with 3 losses. And that's going to open up for some other teams, like Indiana's probably in now. Indiana's one of the only teams in history that lost but won. They lost to Ohio State. It looked like they were out. And then what happened later on that day really paved the way for Indiana to make the college football playoff. I do believe we'll see a 3-loss SEC team in the playoff at some point, but it's not going to be the first year. They can't do that stuff in the first year. So Alabama, Ole Miss out, Indiana in.
All right. Really interesting stuff. All right, Mike, I do want to get to your pick. Some comments in the chat that are just unbelievable. I'll just note Brad Betts. He says, I come for the bets. I stay for the Jeff Stenberg and Danny Brasco banter. Jeff always sort of gave it to A-Mags, and now he's sort of given it to Danny Brasco, and there are rumors that is the same person. So rivalry renewed. Jeff on us for taking that under yesterday. I'm very upset about Saquon Barkley breaking that second long run. All right, let's get to some football picks for tonight. Mike, we're going to start with you. Ravens, Chargers, it's in LA. What's the play?
I like the Ravens side here, Sia, especially at the 2.5. I made the number up to 4, and it's really comes down to me. I think the Chargers team is just a little overvalued. I want to call into question a little bit the strength of the opponent that they played. Obviously, I know you can only play who lines up in front of you here, but I think this sets up as a strong matchup for Baltimore offensively here. First of all, I think that they're going to put a lot of pressure on Justin Herbert, who has been really good over the last few weeks. But this Baltimore Ravens defense, I think, is going to continue to improve as we get down the stretch. They're really good in the run game, which is why I think is an underrated aspect of them in certain matchups, because that's still what this Chargers team wants to do. They're going to have to play a lot more balanced as they had in a few of these weeks. But for me, it's really just the double-headed rushing attack for Baltimore. I think the combination of Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson in a pretty important game. This game is pretty important overall in terms of AFC seeding, just because of the way the results have shaken out over the last 2 to 3 weeks of the season. So I like the Ravens here. Again, I think this number should be 4. I love the fact that we're indoors. Justin Tucker should hopefully be able to make a kick in this one, which would be the difference. Mr. Monday Night is what I like to call Lamar Jackson. He's had a lot of success on Monday night. We've seen him again in a lot of these must-win opportunities where he puts up big individual performances. I think we see that again here, and ultimately it becomes a little much for this Chargers team to keep up. I think that the big thing that's glaring to me was how many points and yards they surrendered to Cincinnati, because this is a far more balanced attack that can beat you in way more ways than Cincinnati can. Give me the Ravens here, -2.5.
That's a really interesting point about how the Ravens compare to Cincinnati in terms of what they can attack you with, because I mean, they haven't you're right. The Chargers haven't played a lot of great teams, and Cincinnati could qualify as at least a potent team, but they can really only hit you with the passing game, and they did that in the second half. Perhaps a blueprint for the Ravens and their passing game coming into this game, but obviously they can run the ball as well. We've got more picks on that game in just a few minutes. We got a college basketball pick from Tom that starts in 52 minutes, folks. I'm pretty sure that's right, at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we've got Early Edge prime time tonight at 7:15. I'll be on that one. I think it's me, Danny Brasco, Mackenzie Brooks, and of course, Will Brinson. So a lot coming at you today. And if you want to make any of the bets you're about to hear, or the bets you're going to hear tonight, or the bets you're going to hear on CBS Sports Network at 12 o'clock, go to BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10, and you will receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. All right, we got to get to that Tom Casale pick because it starts in less than an hour. We're going to do it right after this message from our partners.
CBS Sports HQ, giving you college football coverage unlike anyone else.
We're talking Big Ten.
Pre- and post-game coverage.
Are you encouraged with the way that this team responded?
Along with breaking news.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
Highlights and expert analysis.
That streak could be in jeopardy here.
Sure. What was your main takeaway from this game? How impressive was his domination?
That really changed the football game.
Let's go ahead and have some more fun.
Another wild ending.
The chaos continues.
Turn to CBS Sports HQ.
All right, we're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Jeff Stenberg says, Thanksgiving power rankings, gravy, mashed potatoes, stuffing, mac and cheese. Gravy first is an interesting choice. Tom, you've got a college basketball pick for us that starts in the morning hours on the East Coast, or really on the West Coast as well, obviously. What's the play today?
Yeah, Miami, Siena. I gave out Miami -3 on the opener. I think it's up to 4.5 now. I thought that line was a little low. I live a half hour away from Siena, and there's going to be times to bet the Saints. They're doing some good things with Jerry McNamara in there, but I think there's a little bit too much respect for them going into this game. Miami shoots the 3 very well. They're 12th in 3-point scoring percentage. Early in the season, Siena's really struggled to guard the perimeter. They're bottom 10 in guarding the 3. And, I don't really start looking at advanced metrics until early December because they can be deceiving. But on paper here, it looks like Miami's going to be able to create turnovers. They're going to dominate the offensive glass. So you're looking at a team that's going to get open threes. They're going to get easy baskets in transition and second chance opportunities. So neutral court, early tip-off, I'm going to go with the Miami Redhawks -3 up to -5.
All right. The Redhawks -3 this morning. Absolutely love to see that. And for the record, There's no NBA pick on this particular early edge show, but just know that there are NBA picks at Sportsline, including, because I just checked, a pick from Prop Stars. Obviously, he publishes his articles on Sportsline, but also puts out his picks on Sportsline as well. If you're not already a Sportsline member, sportsline.com/join, type in the promo code winners. You get 60% off the annual plan. Again, promo code winners at sportsline.com/join. Get 60% off the annual plan. And oh, by the way, if you're a Sportsline member, you get to jump into that Discord for free, which at least 1,000 people already have over the last couple of weeks. Larry, what's the count at this point?
It's over 1,200, but the best reason to be in there, other than, chopping it up with all of us and a lot more, is Tom will be in there saying, get on this at -3, and it may not be up on the site at that moment. God forbid this game lands on 4. You got in on 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that. All right, let's turn back to the NFL. I do want to give, I don't know, shout out's the wrong word, offer my condolences to Lee Brown, whose dog passed away today. So everybody in the chat has been so good about doing that. Lee, I don't know if this is the right platform for you, but if you want to drop the name of your dog in the chat, we can offer our condolences even more specifically. But it's got to be a rough time for you. I appreciate you. Hopefully we can provide some light on a dark day today on the early edge. So appreciate you being in here. All right. I'm going to awkward transition to the NFL. We're going to go right back to Monday Night Football. Chargers, Ravens. I've really gone back and forth. When these lines opened, I liked the Chargers initially. I sort of graduated to leaning on the Ravens. I hear Mike McClure's dissertation on the Ravens, and that's kind of where I want to be. However, I do think Justin Herbert's going to enjoy some success with his arm, and that's no secret, right? We know you can pass against this Ravens D. I like Justin Herbert in a neutral or negative game script against these Ravens. But honestly, even in a positive game script, if they're winning, I think Justin Herbert's going to throw the ball. And I think if they are winning or in a neutral game script, it's going to be because he's throwing 4 touchdown passes. This running game is very unimpressive. J.K. Dobbins, if you look at his box score, Larry, you know this as well as anybody. Last week, he was terrible. And then at the very end of the game, he rips off like a 45-yard run or whatever it was, a 40-yard run, and he almost got to eclipse that 56.5 over. He's been very inefficient. Gus Edwards hasn't been much better. Very good Ravens defense. With all that said, I expect the Chargers to score at least 2 touchdowns, if not 3 in this game. And I think it's coming through the air. So give me Justin Herbert over 1.5 touchdown passes. You can get this at -102. I think this was a FanDuel price. DraftKings, BetMGM, it's in that -125 range. I still like it there. I would play this up to -130. Speaking of BetMGM, I'll probably have a same game parlay for the early edge primetime tonight. It'll be a BetMGM same game parlay for Monday Night Football. All right, Larry, we're sticking with the NFL, but instead of Justin Herbert, we're going on the other side of the ball. You like the Ravens, you like Lamar. Go ahead.
I like the Ravens, 16 points in Pittsburgh, but that's their house of horrors. They always struggle against the Steelers. They had 3 turnovers. They had 2 missed field goals. Now you get, in perfect conditions, a great bounce back spot for an offense that is still historically great. And Mike talked about it. Cincinnati put up 27. I think Burrow threw for like 260 in the second half. Lamar is going to tear up their zone. I think they're going to be able to run the ball very well. The Chargers, as great as they've played defensively, they really haven't faced too many elite offenses, and the Ravens are the definition of elite. I love them to get to 27. I'm a little worried about the cover just because Roquan Smith hasn't practiced all week, and he's got a hamstring. He's the leader of that defense in the middle, so that's why I'm staying off the spread, but I love the Ravens to get to 27 in a high-scoring game, and Lamar Jackson is going to have a monster night, in my opinion, tearing apart the zone through the air, but also running the ball. The Chargers basically have made the same decision that Brandon Staley did, and he got laughed at it, which is, we're going to play light boxes. We're going to dare you to run. And that's the way their defense has played, and it's worked a lot better for Jim Harbaugh, obviously. But they give up 10 yards per scramble, which is 30th in the NFL. They're terrible on outside runs, and they play a very light box. So I just think Lamar Jackson is going to do what Kyler Murray did, and he ran for over 60 yards when the Cardinals beat the Chargers. Lamar is set up to have a monster night. I'm going over 42.5. I'll play this up to 44.5.
All right. So we have the Ravens team total over. We have Lamar rushing over. Tom, there's a question I want to get. There's a question about the UConn game in the chat. I want to get to you on that, but I do also want to give out a Sportsline pick. ladies and gentlemen, we've got a SportsLine pick in the NHL. Hopefully we can filter in a few more of these NHL picks on the early edge. This one's a little juicy, and hockey bets are a little different than your traditional bets. So if you're taking a hockey money line, a favorite, it's probably going to be a little juicy here and there. Devils money line minus 155. Predators Devils play at 7:00 tonight. This is our SportsLine, or I should say our early edge hockey play from SportsLine. Devils money line minus 155. There was a question in the chat, Tom, about UConn. It looks like Mike is asking, hey, what do you think about UConn minus 8.5 today?
Yeah, early in the season, I'm just going to stay away from UConn a little bit because I think they're still one of the 5 best teams, but I actually think they're going to be better in February and March this year. So you're getting a little bit overvalued because you're going by last year's team. I don't really have a great handle on Memphis yet. I'll say this. One of the things about the Discord that people ask me a lot that doesn't always compute with myself because I don't play them are parlays. People like to play the money line parlays. So the 2 big games today, I do like the favorites. I like UConn to win, and Auburn is a team I got at 28-1 early to win it all. I think they're a great basketball team. That line's moved against Iowa State, but either UConn or Auburn in a money line parlay, I'd go with. But in terms of spread-wise, personally, I would stay away from UConn early because I just don't think the value is going to be with the Huskies.
Okay, stay away from it early. Yurts Camden, speaking of parlays, he asks, hey, Sia, where do you post your parlays? Well, first of all, I never give out parlays. The only parlays I give out are same game parlays in primetime games. Sometimes I'll give out yesterday was only a plus 278, but sometimes I'll give out a plus 600, plus 800 parlay. Those are only on the early edge. So those aren't actually posted anywhere. That's just sort of for those of the people that are watching. Usually have somewhere between 500, 1,000, maybe more watching early edge primetime. And that's where you'll see that, Yurt. So also there's some picks in the chat. I can't get to everything, unfortunately, but we've got a lot of picks in the chat from people like Chris Kish, and let's see, Japan has a lot of picks in the chat as well. Brad Betts, among others. Larry, anything in the chat that you saw that we need to address?
Nothing specifically. I just think this is going to be a tremendous, I cannot wait for this game. I actually made plans with somebody to go somewhere specific to watch this game so we can enjoy it together. Going to be a ton of points, a ton of offense on both sides. I just can't wait for this matchup.
All right. We got Gipper's pick saying Ravens plus 7.5, Flowers 40 plus, McConkey 45 plus, Herbert 240 plus, and Lamar 30 plus rushing at plus 275. Interesting. Larry, did you have some reaction to that?
Yeah, I did. I did want to say I've come so close to pushing the button on Ladd McConkey like 5 times this weekend. And then I just keep looking at that shoulder injury and that he only got in limited practices. And I can see him making a great 27-yard catch down the seam and taking a hard fall and being knocked out of the game. That's the only thing that's holding me back, because if this guy had full practices this week, I'd be going way over in this matchup.
The thing about my Justin Herbert prop as well, and Mike, I want to go to you on any reaction to what Larry just said, but I did worry about Ladd McConkey because obviously I need 2 touchdowns. And to be honest with you, I think even if Ladd McConkey got injured in this game, or re-injured, I should say, I think I still get there with my 2 touchdowns for Justin Herbert. But yeah, that's a critical part of really Justin Herbert props. Just the Ladd McConkey issue is a critical part. I'm expecting him to play the full game, but with those types of shoulder injuries, you land the wrong way, you're out for the game. Mike, any reaction?
Yeah, I would be extremely careful with McConkey personally. I think that he's obviously a very tough kid, wants to play a lot. I think there are a number of NFL players right now that actually would be not playing this week when dealing with the injury that he has. But I do think it is a concern here.
All right. I think that'll wrap it up. Let's take a look at the recap screen before we get out of here. We've got that SportsLine pick in the NHL, Devils money line tonight at 7:00. We've got college basketball that starts at 11 o'clock this morning. Miami of Ohio -3. That one's from Tom Casale. And the rest of these are NFL Monday Night Football picks. I've got Justin Herbert over 1.5 touchdown passes at -102. Mike McClure, Ravens -2.5 at -115. Larry Hartstein, Ravens team total over 26.5 at -112. And Lamar Jackson over 42.5 rush yards at -118. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, what an incredible show. Love having Tom, Larry, and Mike to start off our Monday. Love the reactions we get from them for the NFL, for college football and for everything else. I don't know that we got a lot of cranberry sauce comments in the chat. I think a lot of people took umbrage to my hate for cranberry sauce. But either way, it was a great show. On behalf of Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s, Tom Casale, Larry Hartstein, Mike McClure, Lee Brown, and Dante. It's been a great Monday. Let's have an even better Monday the rest of the way. We'll see you on Early Edge Primetime. Maybe we'll see if you want to tune in to CBS Sports Network at noon. It'll be me, Larry, and Mike for 30 minutes, giving you some more NFL, some look-ahead stuff as well. Been a great show. Let's have a great Monday. I'm the Counselor of Cash. This is the Early Edge. We rest our case.